I'm Jen Roban, founder of Life In Jeneral, and I started Life In Jeneral in 2014. I was a personal assistant before. Long story short, he moved a lot, and I fell in love with moving people and him and my friends, and every weekend I was doing it just for fun on top of my full-time job. And we were just transitioning, and I'm just had this idea of more people needed it, not just for moves, but really decluttering, organization, and all that, but move-ins are our specialty.
Amazing. How do you handle all of the chaos that comes along with a giant move-in? At least for us, when we had everything unpacked, it was just, it was a lot.
Yeah. So. We always say it gets worse before it gets better. I think the biggest thing is it's really hard to do it alone, and so why Life In Jeneral can come in, or, you can't do it alone, right? And creating those systems. And we just bring more hands, and we almost do like room assignments. But it really comes back from like the initial conversation, right? So with you, of learning like about you, your family, your lifestyle, why you called, what you need, and in your case for the move, which then we learn all of those things. We do the site visit, see the space. But for us, it's like when you see it all, you have to be able to like decide where everything goes and perfectly plan it. But it's a part of the process. And for me, it's the opposite of overwhelming. I get so excited because I know the end result, what it's going to look like when we're done, of how beautiful and functional it will be for you and your family.
So let's talk about the systems, because I know that's like a huge thing for your company, to create systems to make us successful after you leave.
Yes, absolutely. We joke, I'm a terrible businesswoman. Like, I don't want you to call us back. Like, I really want it to be a one-time investment where you have it, you live it, and you just stay in it. So basically all you have to do is put things back where they belong. So the system in every room is different based on the inventory, but the overall foundation is a lot of containment and labeling, and thinking about your lifestyle. So for instance, for you in the kitchen, that's a really important spot. So we needed to really look at all of your inventory and decide on each item, like what is the best place for this in that area. And sometimes it's tricky in different kitchens, so you never know. But for us, it's at the end of the day, what's gonna make your life easier and more flow every time you walk in that space. So you feel good, you know where everything is, and it's easily accessible for the things that you're using often.
So speaking of those systems and making sure things are labeled, what tools do you recommend for someone watching at home to start organizing their space?
I always say start small, like taking a step back, whether it's, we call it the joy drawer, not the junk drawer in your kitchen, something small, because tackling a full move by yourself is hard for anyone. And when you start small, it's really taking everything out and going by category of what it is. So for instance, in the junk drawer, the joy drawer, pull everything out and you categorize everything in that drawer. So pins with pins, tape with tape. And once you see it all, then you can make those decisions on what you need, use, and love. A lot easier than picking up a pen over here and saying like, do you need this many of them? So that process is the biggest tool that I can say, is start small, and also know that you have to pull that stuff out to then categorize before you make those decisions, before installing back in.
But that's actually a really good advice, because when you pull everything out, you can see what you need and what you don't need anymore. Especially with so many people moving these days due to COVID or what have you, lifestyle changes. I know, this will be really useful information.
I think the biggest thing too for people to know is, even before the move, it's the pre-move purge. So going through everything, really taking the time to go like room by room and assessing, because things change, people grow out of things and all of that. And then of course we donate everything. But it's taking that time before, so that when you're moving into a new space, it's all the things you need and love and use. It's not like you're redoing it again on the other side. So it's my biggest piece of advice, is what we call the pre-move purge. And our biggest thing is, don't focus so much on what you need to get rid of. Focus on what you want to keep. And so I think the energy around it changes, and then you can say, hey, this is what I want to bring over to the new space. So it makes it a lot more seamless in the end.
And even if you're not moving, just doing
Highly
that
suggest.
purge. How often
Yeah.
do you recommend people going through their belongings and purging?
Well, I think it's interesting because I think once you do it all, so whether you're taking a room a week or a month or whatever you can do, plan a year out and say, this is what I want to do. People, are busy, I get it, but when you take the time to do this once and do a full home edit, wherever you are in your life and what size of your home or space, it's just about maintenance. It's really just about upkeeping it. So take the time to do it once, and then it's just little things, because ultimately you're then buying things differently because everything has a home, everything has the right home, it's all the things you need, and you make decisions differently as you as you live throughout your space. So I say do it often, and really do it once, like a full makeover, and then it does change the way you feel about things later. Life in General is a lot of things. We do move-ins, that's our specialty, but you could be in a home for your whole life, and we can come in and sort the things with you and really come up with systems. If you're not moving, that's best for your space. We really do look at form and function and aesthetics and everything that's combined of, we marry the aesthetic part of it with function, but function always has to win. So it has to make sense for you. There's no two people that are the same. There's no two spaces that are the same. So really creating a home and a life for yourself that matters and that makes sense to you and your family, wherever you are in the world.
So can you tell us, it's a little bit embarrassing, but can you tell the audience a little bit about the process that it took to organize our home?
Of course, not embarrassing at all. It was quick. So every person is different, and we do what we call either a site visit or we see the space before. It's our superpower of being able to look at a space and say, this is what we need and how long. We always like to be ahead of schedule. So for you, we were probably a half day ahead of schedule. But it is really different for everyone. It's seeing how much of their inventory. It's not about the size of the home or the family members. It really is how many items you have, right? Because there's a difference of having a big couch than 100 markers. You know what I mean? So there's a difference there. So really kind of assessing that and then coming up with a game plan of how we're going to move you into that space, because it's a puzzle piece. It's not, we don't get it right every single time the first time. We're really moving throughout all the spaces. There's no way to know everything you own. Even if I did a full site visit and opened every single thing, it's really, we see it as it comes out, and we categorize it, and then we game plan. We use sticky notes and blue tape a lot of saying, like, this is all your inventory and this is how we're going to create it in your new space. But everybody's process and timing is a little different just because of their inventory. But the beauty of it is we see it all and we know what's best for somebody because of we've done thousands of homes, but it's all catered for you and your family. And we're very proud of learning about you, and as silly as it is, but what gets you up in the morning, because we want to create a life around that to help you to succeed in that. And also for you, like, the kitchen was a huge one for me. Like, I love the kitchen and the pantry, so I was excited to do your home in particular. And but how amazing that every day when you walk in that space and you're cooking and you're with your family, you feel good. And what an honor for us to be able to bring that to you.
Thank you. It's just been really life-changing for us to be able to see everything. Opening up the pantry, it's funny because in my last place, I just kind of kept everything in my head. And every time I made an episode, I would have to go out and buy something unless I knew that I already had it. But here I open it up and I can go shopping in my own pantry because I can see everything.
Yeah. And it all makes sense, right? Where it should be, from accessibility to use. And it's important, and what we do is so much bigger than organizing. It's, I'm grateful to have this company, and we have Closets in General as well, which is custom cabinetry. But at the end of the day, every day, I'm so fulfilled by being able to give that to you, because we're experts in the field of, not everyone's supposed to know where everything should go. It's like we didn't take classes on this growing up. We should have, but we get to bring that to you. So what I always tell people, it's the best time for whether you're moving or not, but it's an investment in yourself, because it's something that lasts forever, right? And having that system, whether you move or stay here forever, it's you have the right tools, and it's just an easy transition.
Yeah, I appreciate that the bookshelf now just looks really designed, and there's actually a theme that went into it. We noticed, we were just looking at that the other day, and everything is related to the camera because that's kind of what we do.
Yeah,
so
I love it.
Yeah,
well, and
those little details.
and that's like what we do, right? Like there's a lot of people out there, and at the end of everything, it's like we want to be a one-stop shop. Like we don't want you to have to think about anything. And it's like we have a designer on our team. We have this, we have that. It's like we just need to be let in the door, and then we can manage it all. And then you can show up and enjoy it, you know, forever. So yeah, this is one of our special things that we do too. I think I just want to know, like, you know, how it's going and how, like, living in the space and having a real conversation of, you know, from when we came to now. And obviously I always tell people live in it because it's a new space you'll be adjusting to, but how has it been for you guys?
It's been amazing. It's been, I mean, I'm going to do my own like camera talk, but for you, it's been so good. I mean, it was a challenge for us to kind of remember where to put things and like train ourselves to put things back, because if like at the old place, toys were kind of just left out because we knew we'd have to like do it again tomorrow. But we like seeing things organized and clean here, and it's kind of like starting over on a fresh start, you know? And so as you can see, things are still
very impressed.
They're still organized, a little more lived in, but we're trying to teach the kids, you know, put the toys back after you're done.
And I love that because we always say too, it's not going to be perfect. You know, when we leave, like everything's not going to be, you know, like in your closet, we do the hangers like perfectly color coded, and that's an expectation we're like, do not have on yourself forever.
No, I never want it to change.
And people are like, I don't want to eat in my pantry because I don't want to mess it up. I'm like, no, you have to live in it because that's where the joy comes from, and it is supposed to be lived in, you know. And we just love to create the foundation of those systems, and then as you grow and as the kid, you know, it all ebbs and flows, but it all matters in your daily life, which is important.
That's actually one of my favorite things, the color-coded books, color-coded clothes, everything. I mean, it's like a great guide for me to put things back where they belong, and it just makes me feel good because I feel like it looks like a boutique, and I just want to keep it looking nice all the time. I don't want to just shove things back in there how I used to.
For sure. And when you walk into a space and you feel that, it's really hard to not put something back because you know the feeling as if you know, it's out, you know? So it's kind of funny because everyone's like, oh, we do put it back. I'm like, yeah, because you have that feeling now ingrained of like walking into this beautiful space and everything has a spot and a home that makes sense.
It's a behavioral change too, like that you want to
And it's big, I love with the kids because that's big for us too, of teaching them young and being able to like watch them be excited about it too. It's a fun one for us.
Yay. So you mentioned that you looked through all of the inventory, and you guys have dedicated boxes and little bins for everything. How do you know how much to bring and what to buy or use? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Product is a big one for us, and that goes with like the one-time investment because it really is so crucial to keeping the space that way. It's the containment, right? So we really go over the budget for product and the aesthetic of the home and the space, and we do all the prep work before walking into a space because it's important for us to get it right, because if things are out too and there's a bin, we want you to love that bin too. So for us, we do overbuy a little, and we do what we call puzzle piece in. We plan out each space, but sometimes it doesn't work out perfectly, and so we'll add things in different spaces and puzzle it in each room. But we've done this enough to know like what works in what rooms and what people need really that are the best products on the market.
And I really like, before the whole process even began, Nicole sent me inspiration guides to show, like, for me to see, okay, do you like this type of products? Do you like this design? Do you like that design? So everything looks cohesive.
Because there's honestly, it's like, there's no way I would know everything, and there's no way I can get inside your brain. We try, but to have inspiration pictures and work that we've done and product that we love for each space, it's easy to say, you know what, don't love this or really love that, because it can help guide us. A lot of people just trust us, which I love. But I'm also like, it's your home, so I want people to be able to choose too. We try to stay away from plastic as much as possible. There's certain things that we do, which is why we'll be coming out with our own product line this year. But it's something that's really important because it is an investment, and you don't need to get at one shop. There's places all over. We do use a couple places more than others, but it's something that it will last forever. And that containment is what keeps the system in place. So I always tell people, like, it is so important to have.
Yeah.
And we can play around with what bins go where.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Talking to us, and thank you for everything here too.
No, thank you guys for allowing us into your home.